After Logan nearly did the impossible at Crown Jewel, it got me thinking in my mind palace. How would some of YouTube's boldest, brightest, most famous and infamous hope to topple Roman Reigns? Let's take a fantasy walk together, shall we? We bring the Sideman front and center to start. Roman Reigns called KSI out during his match with Logan Paul on Saturday. KSI even seemed up for it on Twitter. Now let's not forget that KSI has a bit of wrestling in his past. He's got a decent RKO in his repertoire as well. And he's rumbled with Roman's opponent Logan Paul before and won in a boxing ring. The key to KSI scoring the 3 over Roman Reigns is staying focused. If he can avoid a breakdown like the one he had on the way to Vegas and control that big energy, KSI besting Roman Reigns with one not so lucky punch and a cutter for good measure seems more likely to happen than finding a bottle of Prime at your local shop. Now, there's a few in this YouTube game that have some wrestling miles on the clock that could clean the clock of the WWE champion. We don't need a reason why we think Simon Miller could give Reigns a run for his money. Golden Punch versus Golden Up can only go one way. Plus, we've already seen what Ashton from Triple Jump is capable of in a wrestling ring. Roman Reigns, that's your future, mate. Knowing what wrestling is all about would help the cause. The Irish lads at OSW Review spring to mind. Jay Hunter, with an encyclopedic knowledge of when wrestling was acceptable in the 80s, V1 with a plethora of moves off of Brett's rope, and OC's refusal to job is a cocktail for success over Roman Reigns. There's a few other YouTube types who are closeted fans of the Graps who could pull out a little secret special move. Rhett and Link are apparently fans of a bit of the old WWE and both strong, strapping YouTubey lads. Knowing WWE's flair for the dramatic, they could throw down the challenge to Roman Reigns to spin the wheel of mythicality and rig it to land on a handicap steel cage barbed wire death match. Not a good mythical morning for the head of the table if that was to happen. When it comes to picking a YouTuber to beat Roman Reigns, we want to find somebody who does have some love for the wrestling and wants the challenge. Now, Rhett and Link may look at their phones with a bit of confusion when they're tagged in this video and may pass on the offer to off Roman. Daz Black, however, would be up for it. Only a few years ago, he was calling out Rusev for a match at WrestleMania. He's itching to go. Daz transitioned from Vine to YouTube royalty, and whilst he couldn't go punch for punch with Roman Reigns, he could certainly play a long game and get Roman to tire himself out. Daz is currently on an island in Malaysia where he's filming a video series where he survives for 2 weeks without food or water. He is not sweating the man from the island of relevancy. He can move, he can dodge, he can run. The match wouldn't be pretty, but he can hang in there until Roman makes a mistake. And all you need is that one mistake to put Daz Black over the top against Roman Reigns. I kind of feel like somebody with other sports experience would do well to catch Roman Reigns off guard. We should mention Jake Paul here, who shocked the world when he beat Anderson Silva in the boxing ring. He turned up at Crown Jewel and landed some interesting strikes on Jimmy and Jey Uso. If Jake Paul was to beat Roman Reigns, though, he'd have to rent an apartment in his head before doing so. You see, Roman is bigger and stronger than Jake, who doesn't have the height advantage like his brother did. So Jake would have to drop diss tracks and smack talk and hope to flap Roman before the fight, and even a bit during the fight. And just when Roman is mentally fixated, he goes in and shatters that glass jaw with a right hook. What about non-contact sports stars? Could they make credible contact with the champ? I mean, sure, Rick Shields is a prolific golf YouTube sensation. Golf teaches a swing that could easily be converted into a strike, and he is one good tee off from a triumph over Roman Reigns. Kieran Brown has over 2 million people subscribed to his football channel or soccer channel. He teaches tips and tricks and tries random footy stuff. if you put that natural speed and agility from the football pitch into the wrestling ring, you could score the biggest goal of your career over Roman Reigns. It can happen. Ask Adebayo Akifenua, former Wickham player who's making his debut for Progress Wrestling this month. Stranger things have happened off the pitch. Roman Reigns pretty much has the size and strength game won over many of this website's heavy hitters. But there's a few notable exceptions. Enter Danny from Rate My Takeaway. Danny travels the length and breadth of the UK to sample the finest fast food outlets, and he has picked up a huge following for it. He's already the head of the table. In fact, he carries said table with him everywhere he goes. Roman isn't going to overpower Danny, so some of his key offense is out. However, the big moves that Danny will still have to dodge are in his arsenal. However, Danny's absorbed a chicken munch box from Hartlepool. He can absorb a spear, no bother. The shock of Reigns' spear having zero effect is going to leave him wide open. One big scoop slam, a 3 count, and Danny is back on Troad again. Incidentally, the munchbox from Hartlepool is delightful. In a wrestling match, Darkside Phil couldn't handle Reigns under any optics. But maybe, in a game of WWE Champions, Phil would smoke him. Nikki Tutorials can't hit with the power of wrestling, but I tell you what, she is a knockout blow with the power of makeup. So if we're going to involve other YouTubers, we may need to loosen some of the wrestling rules here if we're looking to out-wrestle Roman. Let's lift the advantage for some of this platform's performers to placate the premier of WWE. Now, give the contestants maybe the power of plunder in a street fight, and all of a sudden, the possibilities are endless. The angry video game nerd just needs one lucky shot with a Philips CDI to the face to dethrone the tribal chief. You may think that Bailey Sarian, the host of Murder, Mystery and Makeup Mondays, Shana, wouldn't physically stack up to Roman Reigns, but make it no DQ and put Roman in there with the YouTuber with the knowledge on the biggest and goriest true crime stories of all time, and somebody with a flavor for dark history, and you could have a horror show that would make Bray Wyatt blush. Ace trainer Liam would use an Extreme Rules environment to utilize the power of Pokemon, which, of course, would be super effective. Think about it, there's a fair few video game YouTubers with cheat codes to chop down the champion. Now, I know that The Undertaker says that we're all rubbish for playing video games and not playing with knives backstage, but maybe all those hours spent playing wrestling video games could make Chris Dainker a formidable foe for Roman. I mean, he spent years in the virtual reality training room of wrestling, beating WWE wrestlers senseless. He's in good enough shape as well to put some of that to practice, as long as he presses triangle at the right time when Roman comes in for the spear. Now, whilst this guy's not cranked up the hours on wrestling video games, he's certainly good for a rumble, is Markiplier. Well-conditioned, a decent promo, and after losing weeks, maybe months of his life to playing Five Nights at Freddy's, it's going to take a lot to freak him out. A swaggering, confident Roman absorbing a jump scare of a DDT could very well lead to game over. What about the other guy that Roman Reigns name-checked at Crown Jewel? Imagine the power to bend reality like that which MrBeast has at his disposal. MrBeast couldn't physically match up to Roman, nor would he know where to start, but he's essentially the $1 million man a million times over. You don't need skill when you've got that kind of money. Why should MrBeast strategize on how to get out of a front choke from Roman Reigns when he can simply pay to have Roman Reigns airlifted to Antarctica and tap out in the cold? He could even film it and stick an advert in the middle, make all his money back. You don't need to worry about how to keep Roman Reigns down in a last man standing match when you can simply pay somebody to park their Tesla over the top of the champ. Heck, he's got the kind of money you could build an entire parking lot on top of the guy. This is just a handful of content creating contestants contextualized for comedic consideration. Why not shout about how you think your favorite YouTuber would usurp the WWE champion? How is Ross rollicking Roman? How would Jack job out the tribal chief? Book an AJ hazardous end to Roman's reign in the comments below. Stay safe and love you, bye.